I'm Robert C. Dupree, and I just wanted to bring to the American people's attention here in 2013, still concerning the racism and practices of General Mills behind the scene. And I'm pretty sure you all have seen the previous videos here from 44 on up here about the young man's testimony who he have given with his full consent. And that he have given me his full consent on a 90-minute audio tape concerning the chilling experience that he had experienced down here at General Mills in the Kansas City area in the North Bottoms. And there's a few things or several things that he had brought out that really caught my attention concerning what he had experienced concerning the discrimination and the unlawful act of being terminated because obviously of his race. But General Mills had in another perspective of why they alleging that they had fired him. I was listening to the testimony of the young man, how that, he had mentioned when he was in orientation about this company here, one of the management, someone in the Department of Management who was interviewing the young man or in his orientation stated that this company here, referring to General Mills here in the Kansas City area, in the North Bottom, has been known for the dark ages. And it startled the young man, like, what is he talking about, the dark ages? Even though management didn't go into a lot of the specifics, yet it says that the company here at General Mills has been known for its dark ages. And as he began to work and he talked to some of the other co-workers who have been there for 20 years or better, well, they began to explain in detail a little bit more about what the dark ages is referring to concerning this company here at General Mills down here in Kansas City in the North Bottoms. Well, they stated to the young man, as you may have heard in his testimonies here, that General Mills had been known for a lot of racial issues and things, and even how that they would have even been boycotted and different issues concerning how employees, past and present employees, was even complaining about a lot of the racial prejudice and conduct. And these things are very true about this company, and it's sad to say that, General Mills is a very racist company here in the Kansas City area, and it is done behind the scenes here. And as you may have heard the young man's testimony, another startling thing he brought out, he's saying how that there was a Caucasian fella who had literally burned a roll or the mule up 3 times in 1 week. 3 times in 1 week. But yet, they did not suspend that fella, let alone terminated him. They just only, demoted him and sent him back down to the sweeper and, apparently let him work his way back up at the time before this young man here was terminated as a utility. And I guess by now he's probably back up in the same position that he was in, which was a grinder or a bolter or whichever. But the startling thing here that really catches my attention as well, to really show a lot of the prejudice and stuff that the young man was bringing out, is that he mentioned about how that there was a non-employee who was a girlfriend of his relief who had called his cell phone. Now keep in mind, she's not an employee of General Mills, and neither one of them was on the premises of General Mills. And she had called him relating a message that her boyfriend had broke his hands, which later on they found out that it was a lie. And General Mills, despite all the facts and the evidence that this young man had presented to General Mills, prior to this here, that the young lady began to start cursing and threatening when he informed her that she need to have her boyfriend to inform the company that he's not going to be able to come in. And all of a sudden you heard him on this tape and audio that she began to start cussing him out, threatening him to jump on him, threatening to jump on his girlfriend, threatening to jump on his child, and so forth and on, and using all type of fantasy and and not only that, she texted him for over almost 2 hours, according to what the young man's testimony was. And also text him saying that, we'll send your relief down here to get you messed up. All this here she had texted on the phone and everything. But yet, General Mills turned around. The young man got upset and angry and said some things, But General Mills turned around and said, oh, well, he trying to kill her. From the testimony of this particular individual who was his relief came in and drew up for General Mills, and General Mills, or more or less, was banking on that, and despite the evidence that clearly shows that weren't true. So my point of all this here is this still shows a lot of the racial prejudice and the racial discrimination and stuff that General Mills is still doing. Now here it is, 2013, and this still kind of foolish and behavior and stuff is still going on behind the scenes around down up over here, and despite of a lot of the obvious discrimination and stuff that is going on, General Mills is still allowing this here. I mean, the young man, he had presented to General Mills, and even when he was terminated and went and applied for unemployment even admitted in writing that, you know, according to the charges that General Mills saying they alleged him for harassment or cursing someone out or threatening to kill someone. They say that's unfound on facts and based up on evidence. Unemployment clearly seen and admitted that wasn't the case. And unemployment even mentioned how that General Mills even failed to present evidence about this young lady who is not an employee at General Mills, which the altercation started from. And the young man got into it, and, you know, she's threatening him and threatening to jump on his girlfriend and threatening to jump on his child. And yeah, he got angry a little bit and said a few things here, but never nothing that indicate that he was going to kill her. And this is what General Mills is banking on, that, hey, well, according to your statement that we heard over the phone, well, we're going to have to give you terminate you. And then the young man, another thing he brought out, he stated concerning how that General Mills had even falsified records and things, because his last day of working was actually September the 13th of 2013, and terminated basically September 16th of 2013. But yet General Mills say that in their own documents that no, he was terminated. Basically in anything, he was terminated October 1st of 2013. A whole month later or something, you know, and falsifying records and things around up over here, and issues like this here. And, you know, and when he when he applied for his unemployment, well, General Mills apparently got upset about that and start making an appeal towards his unemployment to even stop that, which, according to his statement, they did. So, you know, these things here just clearly shows still a lot of the prejudice and a lot of stuff, and obviously it's a lot of racial discrimination, because the individual who he alleged that was broke and to be proven that it weren't, well, that fella's still working down there. He's still working down there. No suspension, no anything. Oh, well, just come back to work as business as usual. But yet, here, this young man here, he was terminated because he had gotten into an argument with his relief girlfriend, who is not employed with General Mills. They was nowhere on their premises of property. They was nowhere near the company, on their own personal cell phones. Nothing relating to nothing related to the company, other than he's trying to inform her that he need to tell her boyfriend or his relief that he need to come and employ and inform the company that he's not going to be able to come in because he broke his hands for whatever reason. And like I stated earlier, to only find out that wasn't true. It was also lie and fabricated. But yet nothing's been done about it. But this young man here, they had terminated and fired. Can't put emphasis on a young man who put the mill in jeopardy 3 times in 1 week, burned the road. And even one of the occasions where the fire went from the 4th floor all the way up. 4 floors up, he mentioned, putting everyone in jeopardy. He's still working there. He mentioned about the one even came about with the hang noose. You know, he's still working there. But yet, they fire this young man who is a Puerto Rican mixed with black. Obviously, he's a minority. Well, they're going to fire him because he got into it with a non-employee off of the premises, nowhere near the premises, and she's the one stated it, what she's going to do, and threatened and brought this altercation about because they wanted him to tell the company that his relief wasn't coming in, which was not his responsibility. It's his responsibility to say that, which everything that the young man was doing was following the company's protocol, but yet the company states that he was breaking the company's rules. So there's a lot of discrimination and stuff that is still going on behind the scenes, and especially what got my attention is when he mentioned about management told him when he was in orientation that this company is known for its dark ages. He didn't know what the heck was going on. He just had got hired in and just came in from Florida. So he wouldn't know what was that all about. But then he found out this company have a lot of racial issues. Ask him what the union about. What is the union going to do? Well, apparently, the union is, you heard him, it's going right along with it. Oh well. The union is allowing this because the young man was terminated, he was fired, and the union really didn't do anything about it. And another thing that got my attention about this here is that when the company was telling the union steward and that, well, we don't want him down here on the premises. I guess basically trying to cut him out as he's a murderer or something, whichever. We don't want him down here. Well, in that case, well, come down here to the union hall. Let's talk about it. Well, the union didn't push that issue. The union just went right along with the company, and whatever the company says, fine, and whatever the company don't say, well, there it is. And the facts obviously show, from my own personal experience, I know for a fact, a bakery, confectionery, tobacco worker, and grain miller, local number 16U, G, is basically company controlled. In other words, they do what the company want them to do and represent who they want to represent, and who they don't, they won't. That's why I am not even down there, Robert C. Dupree, despite my 20 years plus have working down up in there. So, obviously it shows that still there's a lot of discrimination and stuff that's going on. A lot of discrimination. And like I said, there's other peoples that have been down there over 20 years, and some of them still down up over there. They don't really want to say a whole lot about nothing because they're trying to get up out of there. And they know General Mills will wind up firing them. Behind the scenes, they'll come up and drop up with some kind of foolishness, just like they did with this young man. Despite the evidence that clearly shows that the young man was in the right, yeah, he got a little angry and upset. Who wouldn't get upset if someone threatening to jump on you or threaten your kid or your family or your one of your loved ones or someone? Who wouldn't get upset? And the strange thing about it, General Mills told him that if you do get the job back, well, you're going to have to go to anger management, and then you're going to have to take a year of drug testing. And what was ironic about it, the young man don't even take drugs, but yet he have to go to drug counseling and take drug tests and whatever. It's just strange. So we're talking about a lot of the prejudice and stuff that's still going on here in 2013. And the young man gave a startling testimony on how that he was even fearful and afraid of even coming back down there because he know that General Mills will wind up looking for anything that they can to fire him when they get him to sign whatever it is that they try to get him to sign. So still there's a lot of discrimination stuff that's going on behind the scenes, regardless of what and how the company may appear from the appearance. Still there's a lot of discrimination that's going on. And if you look and see through my web page, and I want to mention about my web page, it is an exhibit in the federal courts here downtown. It is an exhibit over in the Kansas court in the civil court. It is also an exhibit up in the federal U.S. Court of Appeal in St. Louis, and it's also an exhibit up over here in the United States Supreme Court. They have this. They know, but yet still appears nothing's been done about it, and still involving with my case as well, which I'm still continuously fighting and battling for my civil and constitutional rights, which is a whole, it's just amazing how corporation can be allowed to get away with certain things around here, and especially if no one's going to say anything about it. And even sometimes when you do say something about it, because they're a major multi-billion trillion-dollar corporation, they just feel they can just run over you and do whatever it is you want. You're just supposed to accept it and wind up paying your attorneys and things off, just like, it's just, in my cause of action, I know this is what happened and a whole lot more. So anyway, the young man's chilling testimony clearly shows still that there's a lot of racial prejudice that is going on down here at this company. And, and the whites who should have been terminated they're still allowed to work despite the obvious and the facts that they have done that should have caused them to be turned. I mean, you're talking about someone with a hang noose, you know. You can look at that from 1 to 5 in my deal up over here and see that. In General Mills, they were on the news and things out here twice because of racial prejudice. Once because they was boycotted nationwide because of racism, sexism. And you can see that in my part 7 on my web page here. And hear the testimony and see some of the individuals who would testify before they Kansas City call and started them around up over here. So when the young lady, whoever this person in management told the young man that this company is known for its dark ages, there's a lot of truth to that. There is truth to that. It's no fabrication, and it's still going on right now. And, you know, and if you hear the testimony of the young man concerning the even the hang noose thing, he stated it's a black and white thing versus how whites have been treated versus the blacks, and the black been treated versus white and certain privileges and things. So, I mean, and here it is 2013. And it's still going on. And a young man gave his chilling testimony about how he was terminated and fired because he had gotten into it with a non-employee, his relief girlfriend. Don't work down there. They wasn't on the premises, but yet General Mills turned it around and caused him still to be fired as if he was threatening to kill her because his relief alleged that this is what happened. Despite the evidence of her putting on texts and things on the phone saying that she's going to send his relief down there to the company to mess him up. Despite all the evidence, General Mills still turned around and fired that young man. And the union allowed it.